Hello, everyone. The Socialist Accountant back again after quite some time. I was not really sure what I would go at next time, like for a new video. Just having some quotes from Karl Marx here. He's the most recognizable socialist, I guess. So might as well just have this here. So I've watched several videos about socialism, specifically criticizing capitalism, which I still do admit that Marx does very well. Although, as you can see here, he's probably said quite a few contentious things, but not a whole lot about goals. Not like it's many say that the toughest step in solving a problem is actually realizing that there is a problem. But if you ask me, I'd say the toughest thing is to actually get to that first step, to get towards that solution. And deciding on a solution can also be a bit tricky. Sometimes a solution is rather out of reach, something that is a long term goal. And I just figured I'd present such a goal. This is going to be in the framework, as of course I am an accountant and I know just a couple of legal terms. This is going to be presented. I'm going to present it with sort of accounting and legal framework. Two terms that kind of present concepts that we can kind of go off of and kind of get a good understanding of how businesses work. So, if you ask me, the idea of socialism is to, well, seize the means of production, for workers to be in control, to gain control over production, like the process of it, and the profits thereof. Now, that could be net of investment, like interest expense, like, say, okay, sure, there's an investor, they buy a bond, you pay them back over, say, 10 or 20 years, however long, maybe refinance that. There's a whole lot of things to do, but at the end of the day, the bulk, like when it comes to sort of variable incomes, like there are fixed costs and there are variable costs. And once the fixed costs are done, the things that you buy, the interest you pay, things like that, once that's done, that's fixed, you can't really change that. Then there's a variable amount that you can put in. In the capitalist enterprise, it would be business owner, person who investing in stocks or just the capital itself. And under a socialist enterprise, it would be people working for it in a sort of democratic manner, people just kind of working it out. The reason why I'm presenting you this cash flow statement or statement of cash flows concept here is because the way it divides things, cash from operating and then the other kinds of activities, I feel like that makes a lot of sense in terms of conceptualizing what to go at here. So operating activities, I feel, are what have to be targeted in terms of socialism. Kind of establishing a system in which, like, the employees, the people working in the company, get the profits from these operations because they are the ones who are really getting into these operations, producing, selling, innovating. Maybe there is management sometimes, but oftentimes management can just be done in a democratic manner. It doesn't necessarily, there doesn't really need to be like a CEO. Note that this kind of takes away, like, doesn't consider accounts receivable, depreciation, inventory. These things are just non-cash items, so they're just not considered here. So there's operating activities. Then there are investing and financing activities. Now, I feel like maybe in a compromise financing activities, and maybe some investing activities could be more in control of investors. Maybe they want to decide whether or not the assets are going to be sold off, or if they want to increase or decrease the interest and principal, the money that they got back for what they put in. But that would have to be, again, as I said, sort of something that would be negotiated between the employees and the workers, the investor, and perhaps some financial institution, probably like a credit union, since banks aren't really fond of socialism. So the difference here would be, instead of say there being dividends and shareholders and stocks, there would be just bonds. Like you put in the money, then you get a set amount with interest back. As I said, there's interest expense. Um, as I said, it could be refinanced by a financial institution or a municipality, a city or county, which would be okay with getting the payments back over, say, 20 years or 30 years, perhaps, just a very long time. Um, so that would be great if that sort of situation would be going about. Okay, so the goal, I would say, is to change corporations which are owned by shareholders into general partnerships which are owned by people who are responsible for the operations of the business, who take liability. So, and also there would be an agreement, which could be a sort of like a democratic setup. For example, something like how Congress works, where there are caucuses representing certain interests, and then they say, okay, well, this is what we want because we've looked into this kind of thing, and we have this interest going on. It could be for an enterprise, let's say Amazon. It could be the people who do the shipping. There's the people who package products, or people who store products, people who maintain warehouses, and people who sell to customers, maybe setting prices for some of their like internally made products, like the ones that they actually directly sell, as opposed to just allow others to sell on their platform, things like that. And then there can be just like kind of discussions, amendments, and so on. So instead of just there being like one Congress, and you vote for them and then they just do their thing, you do your own thing with the people in your workplace. So that's like a possibility. That's like an idea of setting it up. Um, so yeah, that's generally it. I don't really need to. I guess I might as well just quickly explain why implement socialism as I explain it. It improves wages, and then when people have higher wages, then they can buy more. There's more room for innovation, more people, actually on the table, like deciding things, and then with more innovation, there could be more negotiations between businesses, like deciding, okay, well, we can you can keep producing this much, and maybe make this innovation, and charge less, and then just keep negotiating, setting up agreements, and then eventually the need for currency would be at the very least diminished, if not just deleted. And then there's communism through that. I kind of doubt that entire process would occur, but if most enterprises become socialist, or just a critical mass of them become socialist, I do imagine that sort of post scarcity, post currency, post government even system would occur, which is why it's great, because it's much more sustainable than this kind of back and forth we've seen, not just in the United States, but in many countries around the world. You see many of them going to these sort of right wing fascists, Some of them having social democracies, some helpful leaders, but then in a decade or two, it kind of goes back in the other direction. And as I said, it's been a tug of war, or it tends to be that way. So that's it for this video. Not sure when my next video will be coming up. I guess probably on the beginning of March, as that is essentially, or more or less, the centennial of the Third International, which I think originated in Russia. So maybe I'd go into that. Maybe present more ideas in that kind of vein. Maybe going over how it happened. But then again, there are videos about that, so perhaps I'll just do something else to kind of just celebrate the anniversary. In any case, that'll be it for this video. Goodbye.